know, they asked me if I wanted walk-up music, and I said, you know, a guy from Jersey, you got to play Bruce Springsteen. Hope we got some Bruce fans out here? All right. Okay. Well, thank you for having me. It's been a great day so far. A lot of great content's been presented. The breakout sessions were great. My objective is to keep that momentum going. So I'm here to talk about AI and how it applies to the sales world. And there's really three takeaways that I'd like you to really have at the end of this presentation. When you go back and you think about all the things you heard about over the last couple of days, three takeaways on my side. One is, if you apply AI properly to your business, you can forecast more accurately. The second item is, if you apply AI properly, you can improve your whole pipeline review. And the third area is, if you apply AI properly, you can really drive closing more deals and do deal reviews much more effectively. So let me ask a question. Before I get into presentation, I want to show a video, but I'm not going to show it yet. Let me ask a question, a raise of hands. How many baseball fans out here? All right, a lot of baseball fans, great. How many of you have read the book Moneyball? Raise of hands. Wow, quite a few. How many of you have seen the movie starring Brad Pitt? Raise your hands. Okay, great. So I'm going to show you a little skit from Moneyball, and after this little skit, I'll explain why I present it to you. But here's the situation. Brad Pitt, who is acting as Billy Beane, general manager for the Oakland A's, he's sitting around a table, and he's got some of the smartest baseball people sitting around him. And he is going through the very important phase of trying to understand who they should draft. And during draft day, you know, they've got a bunch of names of players on the board, and they're trying to figure out who are the right people for them to draft, because obviously that has somewhat of an important impact on their future, right? So with that, I'm going to show the video, if you could roll it.
We're trying to solve the problem here, Billy.
Not like this. You're not even looking at the problem.
We're very aware of the problem. I mean...
Okay, good. What's the problem?
Look, Billy, we all understand what the problem is. We have to replace...
Okay, good. What's the problem?
The problem is we have to replace three key players in our
No.
lineup.
What's the problem?
Same as it's ever been. We've got to replace these guys with what we have existing.
No. What's the problem, Barry?
We need 38 home runs, 120 RBIs, and 47 doubles to replace.
The problem we're trying to solve is that there are rich teams and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's us. It's an unfair game. And now we've been gutted, like organ donors for the rich. Boston's taking our kidneys, Yankees taking our heart, and you guys are sitting around talking the same old good body nonsense like we're selling jeans, like we're looking for Fabio. Think differently. We are the last dog at the bowl. You see what happens to the runt of the litter? He dies.
Billy, that's a very touching story and everything, but I think we're all very much aware of what we're facing here. You have a lot of experience and wisdom in this room. Now, you need to have a little bit of faith and let us do the job of replacing Giambi.
Is there another first baseman like Giambi?
No, not really.
No.
And if there was, could we afford him?
No. Nope.
Then what the fuck are you talking about, man? If we try to play like the Yankees in here, we will lose to the Yankees out there.
Boy, that sounds like fortune cookie wisdom to me, Billy.
No, that's just logic.
Who's Fabio?
This is shortstop. This is a shortstop from Seattle.
All right, so, pretty interesting quote, right? Sounds like some fortune cookie wisdom to me, Billy. Why did I show that? Here's why I showed it, a little bit of an analogy. I propose that the people around that table, those very intelligent and very experienced scouts and baseball people, are you and I. And the person sitting at the head of the table, Billy Beane, played by Brad Pitt, is our CFO, our CEO, our board, our shareholders, whether we're public or private. And what they're asking us to do is really think a little differently. They're basically saying to us, and I don't know how many of you have had this experience, but I sure have, where executives are saying, you know what, you've got great intuition, you've got great experience, but it is about the time to start thinking a little bit differently. And very recently I wrote a blog a few months back, How to Be the Billy Beane of Sales. And really the whole conversation was around, you and I have a ton of very, very valuable data within our enterprise. And we're using a fraction of it. If we use the data more effectively, we can project our business more effectively. We could be more successful in how we plan our business. So if you think about a point of view that Aviso has around this whole idea of how can we take our game to another level, I'd like to share with you Aviso's point of view and how maybe you could better leverage the area of AI in your business. So I'm going to show you some ideas that we propose, and I'm going to show you some real live examples, AI views of some interesting data to kind of encourage you that this idea of moving away from just gut and instinct to more being data-driven and using AI in and out of your business will be more successful. So first off, we all know that we're experiencing AI everywhere in our lives, right? If we think about our personal life as a consumer, all kinds of things are going on. You've seen so many stats, but Amazon, for example, 35% of the revenue is generated by the recommendation engine. Uber, 40 million AI-based ride shares. And we could go on and on, right? Our thermostats are thinking for us. Our coffee makers are thinking for us. All kinds of things are going on in our consumer world. We've accepted it. And in the business world, it also is starting to change the way we do things. If you look at manufacturing and supply chain, they have been using data and algorithms for quite some time. And now we're seeing more and more in the area of fraud protection, preventing maintenance, et cetera. There's all kinds of ways in the business world that AI is being used. When you look at the sales world, however, it's a little bit different. So there's a study that was done by Harvard Business Review, and they identified that 60% of business leaders believe that their future success is dependent on applying AI principles. But yet when you look at the sales organizations, this was a research survey done by Salesforce.com, only 16% of sales execs surveyed are actually putting processes in place. So while we're hearing a lot about it, we're not actually doing a lot about it just quite yet. But of that 16%, that small group that say that they are going to start using AI, it's interesting the results that they're getting. The high performers are basically 63% of them they're using AI today. So when you look at high performers, they make up 63% of that 16%. Moderate performers make up 34%, and the underperformers make up 20%. So what do these stats mean? They basically mean that if you start applying these principles that we're all talking about, and I mean really starting to apply them, you're going to see some results. Now, where should we apply them to? There's all kinds of sales activities that we can apply AI to. We can apply it to quota management, compensation, hiring, quote to cash, et cetera. There's lots of things that we could be applying this to. At the end of the day, we have to sell stuff, right? We have to sell stuff, and we have to project to our business what we think we're going to sell. So one of our points of view is these three in the middle. Why not start looking at how we're really going to use AI for deal review? If I could actually get the machine to guide me as to how I can close this particular deal, why wouldn't I do more of that? My pipeline management. I've got all of these accounts that I'm going after. And candidly, if you're going after 30, 40 deals a quarter, you probably don't need AI, you don't need Aviso, right? You can figure that out for yourself. But if you've got 100, 200, 300, we have some clients have thousands of deals they're working on in a quarter, that movable middle, the deals that are kind of middle of the pipeline, they're the ones that get ignored. Because we all know what's going on in our big deals, right? Even our board members knows what's going on in our big deals. Everybody's attacking those deals. We're figuring them out. We know everything that's going on. But it's that large hunk in the middle, which I call the movable middle, that we can have a better impact on. And then finally, the forecasting idea, the fact that we have the responsibility to project to our leadership and to our board, how should we be doing our forecasting? What should our forecast be? Why not apply it there? So if we think about sales teams that don't apply AI to those three areas, this is what we've seen. We see that the way in which they're doing it today is they're using CRM, they're exporting data from a CRM report into some spreadsheets, and what they're then also doing is they're adding their own human intuition. What I mean by that is, right, they look at a spreadsheet, they did a pipeline review, they're looking at all their deals, and there's numbers next to those deals, and they're saying, well, I think Mary is overjudging on this one, 1.2 million. This one's really 900,000. I think Bob, who projected this one at 50,000, I think it's more like 75. He's sandbagging a little bit. So there's all this intuition is being done on all of these deals. And what ends up happening is you've got missed forecasts. You've got pipeline management of deal slippage. Again, that movable middle. You're not able to see things as accurately because there's just so much going on. And then finally, the deal reviews that you have with your team not as productive as they can be. Let's look at the forecast area. I'd like to show you a real-life example of what we did for a client. The name will not be revealed, but the client is a publicly traded technology company. We did a pilot for them during their fourth quarter. And I'm going to share with you the AI view one of the AI views that we provided them. So let me show you what you're looking at here. I want to step down off the stage a minute. The thing that I want you to focus in on, for those of you over here, if you look at this number here, this 53.2 was their plan. So about halfway down, you see the 53.2 by the red on this side of the room. Let's see, right there. That was their plan. They were supposed to do 53.2 million. What the CRO did is what normal heads of sales did, is they sat down with their team, and it takes them a couple of weeks to go through every deal, every manager, every rep, and figure out what are they going to propose. What's the CRO going to propose to management, what they're going to close. And on about the 20th day of the month, here is where the CRO proposed. Low 40 million, high 58, 60 million. That was the range he gave his executive team. Aviso and our AI and our machine learning, what did we propose? We proposed that they were going to do 30.9 million. How popular do you think we were when we told them 30.9 million? Well, on the first day of the quarter, by taking their data that they have in their CRM, their activity through emails, their activity in their calendaring, their data that they have access to, just applying the machine learning, the algorithms to it, to be able to come up with a number. This blue dot that you see here is the Aviso adjusted forecast. These blue dots going across are the Aviso adjusted forecast on a day-by-day basis. So my point is, at the end of the quarter, where did they land? They landed a little over 32 million. So when I sat down with the CFO of this organization after this, and the CFO said, a couple of takeaways. First takeaway is it's really hard for our team to forecast accurately, but they've got to change. They've got to get better. And the other takeaway was our plans really aren't that good, right? We're being way too aggressive based on what real live data is telling them. Now, how many of you have been in meetings where you're doing your planning for quotas, et cetera, and they're presenting a number to you, and you're looking at that number and saying, wow, how are we really going to do that number, right? And you don't have real credible information, right? And to be able to say, hey, that forecast that you're giving me, the plan, really is a little over the top. So when you think about doing your forecast, another blog I wrote was this idea of fake news. The idea of, is your forecast accurate? How are you able to really be able to say with credibility to your executive team that you're able to hit a certain kind of a number, other than this is what I did with my spreadsheets and my gut, and this is what we expect to do. So furthering our point of view, if you look at teams that are using AI-driven technology for these processes, we are seeing over and over again that they are forecasting accurately. They are managing that movable middle extremely well. And then finally, they're able to do deal reviews that are effective, that their team, their individual salespeople, feel is worth their time, because they are taking AI insights the machine is basically giving some insights as to how you can win these deals. So they're applying it properly. And then by doing all of this, the idea of the typical friction that exists between a CRO and a CFO, well, guess what? We become a little bit more of a partner with our CFO. CFO's jobs are difficult, right? What do they have to do? They have to plan hiring. They have to plan marketing budget. They've got development that they've got to do. They got partnerships that they want to fund. There's all kinds of things a CFO needs to do. And they're counting on you and I, right, to be able to give them a good projection so they could decide how they're going to spend the money. If we don't give them a good projection and they start spending more money than maybe they should, what happens come board meeting time? Not a good scenario, and guess what? At the end of the day, that's a reflection on us, right? Because we're not given the right guidance. So what kind of companies are using this kind of technology and AI? Here is just 4 names that are clients of ours. If you read the quotes, you will read things like accurate forecasting. The data you're giving me is much more actionable, right? We're able to close more business. Your algorithms are spot on. And they are no different than you or I. It's basic Salesforce.com or CRM data, various kinds of data that we're able to extract and apply algorithms to, do correlations, and be able to give them the accurate kind of information they need. So at the end of the day, what they're able then to do is they're able to take that data from CRM, put it into an engine, and again, forecast more accurately, do better pipeline reviews, and then do better deal reviews. So if you think about pipeline reviews, one of the things we hear from companies over and over is the pipeline meetings or the forecast calls that they have, whether it's on Monday or Friday or whenever they have it during the week, is they take too long and, they're not that productive. Oh, and by the way, week to week, it's hard for me to keep track really of what's gone on and what's changed. So one of the views that we can provide is this idea of, along the left-hand side, as you look at this, that was last week. This is what's changed, what's gone up in my deals, what's stayed the same, what's gone down, and this is what it's this week. Now, I don't know about you all, but I've done some pipeline reviews in the past and cover all the deals, and I typically do them on Fridays, and then I'm done with the pipeline review. Friday night, go out with my wife, have a cocktail, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, how come nobody talked about that deal, ABC company, that we were talking heavily about last week? What happened to that deal, right? So, next morning, maybe I send an email and I find out, oh, that got pushed. Well, it got pushed. Why don't we talk about it, during the forecast call? Well, I would have known it if I had views out of my CRM. All I have to do is click on one of these boxes and I could see what was lost and what was pushed. So again, the engine just teeing up the information for you so it's more effective. And then if you'd like, the ability to even drill down even further into any of those deals and actually get AI insights deal by deal. The machine learning and the artificial intelligence capabilities are there where they could actually share with us, here's what the likelihood the machine believes of you doing this deal. So if you look in the top left-hand corner, there is a deal score there. That's the machine-generated deal score. So on a 0 to 100 rating, what's the probability of winning this deal? Oh, and then by the way, that deal score just didn't come out of thin air. Here are some of the guidance that the machine gives, green arrows and red arrows, over here, green arrows and red arrows, as to why this score was given. So the point here is that we're able to use our experience as great sales executives, sales operations people. We've got great intuition. We know the game well, just like those guys around the table, those baseball people. They know the game well, but it's about using the data more effectively so I can represent my business. How big could this whole AI play be for all of us? It can be actually pretty big. Here's an interesting quote from Bill Gates about the ability for machines to learn. What does that mean? It's obviously it's a pretty impactful statement. We believe that it can help industries, it could help you, it could help us. There's so much that could be done in this area of AI. So again, the 3 takeaways. There's no question that everyone wins if we forecast more accurately. If we take the data that we have and we use that data and apply it the appropriate way, we could drive better forecasts. We can streamline all of our pipeline management at the end of the day, close more deals. And I assure you, if you use this kind of technology, whether it's Aviso or anything else out there, you build your own AI platform if you want to go down that route, and you're able to bring the right legitimate data to support your instincts, I promise that you will not get this bullshit quote from your CFO, your executive team. You have much more credibility. So that is our point of view. If you'd like to talk more about it, we'd love to talk with you. We've got a booth outside here. And with that, I would say thank you for listening. I appreciate it.